Hello, welcome to our YouTube channel. My name's Jennifer. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have a special topic, supply chain management. The words supply chain have never been more in the news than in 2020 and going forward. The worldwide COVID pandemic had presidents and prime ministers across the world talking about the importance of an effective supply chain to ensure essential equipment was available to key workers everywhere. This crisis demonstrated the different aspects of the supply chain and how procurement through to manufacturing and transportation to storage and delivery to the front line are all key. Today, we are joined by Amritha, an expert in supply chain who is currently a researcher in supply chain management at Aston University. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, so can we first start to talk about a little bit about your background and experience?
Yeah, hello. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I am Amritha Sasankan and I'm from an engineering background. So I did my graduation in electronics engineering and my postgraduate in microwave and radar engineering. So after this, I worked in the information technology sector, mainly on data analytics and business intelligence project. And for different sectors like finance, corporate planning, media and entertainment, telecom, and energy and utility. So I always wanted to do research, and then when I got the right opportunity, I just grabbed it. And right now, I'm doing research in supply chain management at Aston University in the UK.
Before we go into the questions, I just wondered, has your focus in your research shifted since the pandemic, or has it remained stable? Do you have any new focus now since then?
Not really, because before pandemic, my topic of research was the same. So there might be slight variations, but mostly the focus remains the same.
Okay.
So it was just, yeah, I would say it was just a coincidence that I chose this subject, and then the pandemic came, and there is a lot of importance to the subject area that I'm researching.
And what were you doing prior to researching at Aston University?
I was working in the information technology sector. So it was like I started my research in 2018 October. So until end of 2018 September, I was working. So I just, it was just a weekend different. That's it.
Okay, excellent. And what made you want to get into supply chain management? It's quite a specific topic.
Yeah, well, honestly speaking, it was not deliberate. So I was always fascinated by the technology, and while working in the IT sector, I was always interested to know more and explore about the use of digital technology and industry. So when combined this with my academic interest, I thought, okay, doing research will be the right thing, and I chose supply chain. So supply chain management. So the reason was that first of all, it is fully industry related. It is multidisciplinary. It involves a lot of technology, both digital and engineering, and then there's a lot of new challenges keeps emerging, and a lot of active involvement is required, a lot of activities, and especially because of Brexit, supply chain became important, or it was a focus. Also, now if you see recently, because of the pandemic, supply chain has become more important. It's in the news, and also the country's economy and infrastructure all depends on the supply chain. So I thought supply chain is a right sector, and yeah, now I knew very little about logistics and supply chain. So as I started getting more about knowing more about this area, it's getting really interesting. So I'm glad that I'm here.
Excellent. Yeah, it's really interesting. Such a hot topic at the moment. And you're currently conducting research into the impact of social media on information exchange in supply chain management. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? As we know, digitalization has become much more important and is crucial for companies to utilize. So the fact that you've been looking into a part of digitalization, social media, can you talk a bit us through that?
Yeah. So my research is mainly about, the role of social media for supply chain management, or basically how it helps supply chain management. So I'm mainly focusing on enterprise social networks and collaboration tools, not the regular social networking side, because I want to focus more on the business communication between different supply chain partners, both internal and external communication. So I'm investigating why and how supply chain managers use this platform for information exchange and their business interactions. And when I say supply chain management, I consider, the management of end-to-end supply chain, which includes logistics as well. And how the supply chain managers communicate with their internal and external stakeholders for their management and operations. So I'm also looking at the development of relationship and trust because of using the social networking platforms, the type of information exchange, the extent to which the information is exchanged, and how all these factors are, affecting the supply chain performance. So if you see recently, there is a lot of, a shift, I would say, towards use of these such collaboration tools for regular business interactions and activities after the pandemic has come. So I think my research is very relevant and important with respect to this.
Definitely. And what would you say the key factors are, which are important to consider when setting up a supply chain? Because I know a lot of people are in the position where they want to either streamline their supply chain or make it more stable, or even set up a supply chain for new businesses. So can you give some guidance there?
Well, there are several factors. So one thing which I consider like the first and most important thing is, the company's strategic plan and the market requirements. So what the company is trying to do, and how what is the market requirement for based on what company is trying to do. So then next comes the sustainability perspective, both economic and environmental. So supply chain contribute a lot to the carbon footprint. So I believe sustainability should be one of the most important thing when it comes to the design of the supply chain. And for past many years, we have been seeing, a trend towards globalization. So I think there should be, this is mainly because of the scalability and economic factor. So I think there should be, equal importance given to localization as well. For example, while procurement activity, the local suppliers should be considered. So it should be, an optimal decision or optimal choice a bit about the supply chain partners, whether they should be global or local. So this is one of the design factor. And there are several other factors like, integration of the supply chain, connectivity, then process optimization, customer service. And I think recently the most important thing is the adoption of digital technology. So this is what I can think of now.
Yeah, excellent. And I totally agree with your points. Globalization is indeed key. What do you think are some of the advantages of sourcing your supplier outside your home country? So essentially outsourcing rather than finding someone within country. Do you see that as adding more stability to the supply chain?
Like if you ask about stability, I really won't agree. So when sourcing from the external suppliers, that is outside the country, most of the supply chain players are looking at scalability, economy mainly, and while outsourcing, it is mainly about money. But now when situations like this, for example, Brexit, this pandemic, when situations like this come, we really need to think whether complete globalization is a sustainable alternative. So I would say, and also a localization would enable the local community, local economy. So I think it should be a balance between local and global. Yeah.
Excellent. And transparency is very crucial to the supplier-buyer relationship. What are the ways a consumer can build trust with their supply chain partners?
Okay, so one of the factor which I would say is the social presence of the organization. So there are nowadays there are several networking platforms where the presence can be known. So thanks to digital technology, and so the social presence provide better visibility of the organization, their activities, the communication, then the public opinion about them, so which of course would create a perception in the consumer's mind, and which creates more transparency about the organization's activity. So there can be many other factors which affects the or which can influence the trust. And one more factor which I think, in my view, is the sustainability initiatives. In this is a world we live, and if the supply chain organization create initiatives, to mitigate the sustainability issues, it shows a commitment towards the people and towards the community or the environment. So, which I believe is one of the biggest trust factors. So, again, this shows their commitment, and yeah. So these two are what I think are really important. So social presence gives more transparency is what I feel. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, I totally agree. And sometimes that's the deciding factor when we're looking for a supplier, is the level of transparency that they demonstrate. And especially alongside transparency and stability of supply chain, in recent years, we've also seen how environmentally friendly the supplier is as becoming more and more important as a deciding factor.
Well, yeah, the right adoption of technology is key because it can provide many dynamic capabilities for the sustainability of this supply chain. So, if you look at the past, technology has been very disruptive. So, if you see IoT, social media, then automation, artificial intelligence, so there are so many buzzwords. Technology had caused, the access to real-time and up-to-date information across the entire supply chain, which have reduced delays, improved the efficiency, and improved transparency. So these supply chain partners are globally spread, and technology have enabled them to, connect in a better manner, communicate, and also create virtual communities. So they are able to achieve their common goals, common objective, and they're able to work towards shared objectives, I would say. So use of technology have, like, with improvement in efficiency and productivity, that is one aspect of sustainability in terms of, I would say, economy. And then recently we have seen a lot of increase in the use of virtual communication platforms. So this have really reduced the travel time, delays, and it's also environment friendly. So because now I am doing my research, I'm also doing a lot of interviews. So I can hear from different participants that they are saving a lot of time. It's environment friendly, and also recently in news also we have seen that the carbon footprint have reduced. So in that aspect, it is promoting sustainability. And also organizations can use different digital technologies for optimizing production, shipping, then use of space, and they can use technology like big data analytics to see the past trends and improve their the future supply chain. So technology have played its role a lot, and will continue to play its role in terms of connectivity or information exchange, data analysis, automation, and many more. So the potential of digital technology is huge, which cannot be limited by words. Yeah,
Definitely. And Do you see the future as people establishing their supply chain digitally rather than the traditional means of establishing the supply chain?
Yes, of course, because see, when I hear about digital supply chain, the first thing that comes to my mind is, transferring information digitally. So that nowadays, there is a lot of physical paperwork, product catalogs, then physical advertisements, and a lot of physical documents. So they all can be made electronic. So which can save a lot of trees, water, transaction time, postage, and it would be more economical. So, and I would say digitization can create a better integrated supply chain uh, where information can flow, seamlessly. So, like now, for example, with Internet of Things, cloud computing, cyber physical systems, etc., a better controlled and monitored system and processes can be in place. This can lead to more optimized supply chain. Also, if you see the digital manufacturing, technology allows better design through use of software, then simulation of products and processes, which can reduce error and wastage, then improve the efficiency. So it can lead to more optimized supply chain management. I really think that digital supply chain is what we should see as a future.
Definitely. And from what you've said, digitalization and having an environmentally friendly supply chain go hand in hand. And so just moving on from that then, what role do you see lean and agile manufacturing playing going forward?
I would say both are complementary and competitive. While lean manufacturing focuses on scalability, the optimal use of resources, waste reduction, there are still issues like overprocessing, overproduction, and bulk transportation, unutilized resources, etc., which can lead to wastage. But I think these issues can be tackled with better planning and processes and better forecast. And when I speak about agile, it's mainly about change. How quickly or responding quickly to demands, I would say, not just demands, responding quickly to process, then adaptation of technologies. Now technology is changing so rapidly that most of the supply chain needs to adapt to that. So it's constantly evolving. So if you ask me about the role of lean and agile, it's really contextual. So for example, for a manufacturer who is influenced mostly by the external factors such as market volatility, it is agile manufacturing that is best suited. Similarly, whereas if it is a manufacturer who wants to improve the internal inefficiencies and improve the productivity, then lean would be the choice. But however, I think both lean and agile can learn from each other to improve the process. Because both has good several benefits as well as some disadvantages. So I think it should be adaptive. This is what I would like to say. The most important thing is the supply chain player should be able to understand what is the real what is the real influence, whether it is external or internal factor, and what are the drawbacks of both the approach, and try to adapt accordingly.
Excellent. I think this is very valuable information for anybody who's looking to improve their supply chain in terms of transparency, agility, environmentally friendly processing. All of these things need to be considered, especially post-pandemic, going forward and into the future. So thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.